Shabbat Shalom, and this is 10 Minutes of Torah. Not two babies fighting to get out of their mother's womb, and not one land that an important person lives in their entire life, but 10 minutes of Torah. Well, this week we really move on from the first patriarch and matriarch, Sarah and Abraham. They're no longer alive, of course, but we center in on Isaac and Rebekah and their family and their lives. As a matter of fact, the parsha is called Toldot, and it's from the word generations, or maybe even the story of. That's the first words. Ve'ele Toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. This is the story of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Or perhaps it means these are the generations that follow, but we are now ready to move on to that part of the Torah that continues the blessing and promise that Abraham received. So Isaac and Rebekah are married by now, and Rebekah has had trouble conceiving. That is a motif, a theme that we find often especially in Breshit and Genesis, but throughout the Bible. But she does. She gets pregnant. But she doesn't just get pregnant with twins. Those are the babies that are fighting to get out of their womb. Why are they fighting to get out of her womb? Well, here's what the Torah says when she asks God, what's going on inside of me? And God says to Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 separate peoples shall issue from your body. And the older shall serve the younger. Very interesting statement, kind of maybe a prophetic type of statement. Whatever it might be, this is what this is what Rebekah is told. And I think it's difficult enough to have one child. All the more so twins. I have twins actually in my extended family, cousins who are twins. So to carry 2 children, that's difficult. To carry 2 nations, that must really be difficult. Well, that is what the Torah tells us, is that not only are there 2 nations, but the older is going to end up serving the younger. The older, of course, will be Esau, and the younger is Jacob. When Esau is born, he's the firstborn. They're struggling because whoever comes out first with twins is the firstborn. By the way, there are implications even today as to which twin might come out. We have something called, I'll speak about it on another time, but Pidyon Haben, which is the redemption of the firstborn. If you have twins, then it's only the first child who gets redeemed. Only the firstborn gets redeemed. If you're second, third, fourth, no Pidyon Haben. So there are some implications even today, but in ancient times, there were greater implications because the firstborn got a double portion. What does that mean? It means that, in this case, there are 2 sons, Jacob and Esau, and whatever inheritance that they might get from their family, that inheritance is divided not into 2 parts, one for Jacob and one for Esau, but to 3 parts. 2 for the firstborn, 1 for the one who's born after that. Now I say it like that because although Esau is the firstborn and deserving of that double portion, right away, Jacob finds a way to wrest it from him. That is an ongoing theme in the book of Genesis. That being born first guarantees you nothing. What matters is who you are and how you act. And, Jacob perhaps doesn't give us the greatest example of that here at the beginning, but that also is for another time. So what happens is Esau is a hunter. And Jacob stays home, according to the rabbis. And they say nicely, what did he do? He stayed home and he studied Torah. Well, he's staying home and not studying Torah, but he's cooking. He's cooking a lentil stew. If you haven't yet made your Shabbat soup, if you make a Shabbat soup, make a lentil stew this week. That would be indicative of this week's Torah portion. Well, he's making it, and Esau has been out hunting, and he hasn't been able to get any game. And he comes in, and he's starving. I mean, he says he's starving. Like children will come in, and they'll say, oh, I'm starving, and there's nothing to eat here. Well, that's sort of what Esau said. And Jacob said, oh, you're starving. I will be happy to give you some of this stew that I have made in exchange for that birthright. And Esau doesn't care about the birthright. He despises it, it says. And so he sells it to Jacob. Well, the Torah then relates some of the travels of Isaac throughout the land. And that is the end of the introduction. Isaac is the one person of all of the patriarchs and matriarchs. That's 4 matriarchs and 3 patriarchs, 7. Out of all of them, Isaac is the only one who never leaves the land of Israel. One land his entire life. Matter of fact, in this portion, God says to Isaac, Gur ba'aretz hazot, live in this land, and Isaac always does. Right? Abraham came from Haran. Jacob is going to end up going down to Egypt. Only Isaac stays in the land the entire time. And in his travels, we, of course, have then interactions with various people in the land, some of the same ones who Abraham had interactions with. And finally, the Torah portion ends with a fascinating tale, we'll say this time, about Isaac being old now and can't see, and Rebekah scheming with Jacob to bring Isaac food in order to get a blessing. You see, Isaac sends Esau out to go hunt again, and Esau's out hunting. And Isaac loves the food that Esau makes. The Torah even tells us that. While he is out, Rebekah takes a goat and kills the goat and cooks it, and Jacob comes in dressed as Esau. Esau was all hairy on his arms, and so what did Jacob do? He took some skins from animals, put them on his arms. It's a fascinating interchange between them. And I would say, take a close look at the text. Does Isaac really know that this isn't Esau? Well, it's something to think about. Does Isaac know, and is he waiting for Jacob to say something, or is Jacob just fooling Isaac? But when you think about it, we've got that lentil stew, and then we've got the meat which has been fixed for Isaac. And there's a lot of food in this week's parsha. It seems to me that this coming week, we also have a lot of food. It's Thanksgiving, of course. And as we celebrate Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is the one holiday, American holiday, that has a true religious feel to it. We're giving thanks. What could be, that to me is one of the primal even, religious feelings that we have. We reach out to God to give thanks for the good things that we have. That's Thanksgiving. And that thanks is often associated with food. And of course, on Thanksgiving, those who aren't vegetarians eat turkey. Now, why do we eat turkey? We eat turkey because our way of showing thanks for the freedom that this country has given to us, and it's certainly been more than any other country in history, our way of thanking God and thanking America is by eating turkey, because turkey is indigenous to America. You find it elsewhere, but in the meantime, it was indigenous to America. As a matter of fact, there's a debate early on whether or not, believe it or not, turkey is kosher, because we don't have distinct ways to identify a bird that is kosher or not. It is only by what is handed down through tradition. So we had no tradition with the turkey. Fortunately, as you all know, as you get ready to serve your Thanksgiving turkey, that the rabbis did indeed decide that turkey is kosher. So food and celebration, and food as a part of family tradition, and food that gives meaning to us is found in this week's Parsha, and will be found on Thanksgiving. And so I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, a Shabbat Shalom, and to tell you that this has been 10 Minutes of Torah. Not two babies or two nations that are fighting to get out of that womb, and not Isaac only living in the land of Israel, but 10 Minutes of Torah. Shabbat Shalom and happy Thanksgiving.